What a wild night of racing. You had to be incredibly precise because of the technicality of the track with the long rhythm lanes. You had to literally slow down and set up. Poor Nate Thrasher ended up with the short end of the stick by casing the second to last triple into the far corner. And we see him. He does it right by nosing it, by letting the front take the majority of the impact and then the rear shock try to take the rest of it. Because if you case a jump just with your rear wheel, you are going to overemphasize the physics and it's going to kick you and you're going to tattoo yourself to the next jump. This is just wrong place, wrong time on the wrong jump because you're coming off of a lower lip. It's about 5 feet to like a 7-foot landing. And when he cases it, takes the majority of the impact, he's soaking it up the best he can. He almost had it. And this is the difficult thing about Supercross is there's always another lip. If this wasn't there, he may have been able to ride out of it or at least not been as hurt because what happens, kicks him off the bars and then he rebounds and the inertia goes from forward to straight up. And he lands on his back. Does nice front flip, lands on his back. Would have been nice to land on a tough block, but unfortunately he was transported to the hospital because he had to have a CT scan and an MRI, and he says that he just has a concussion and some bone contusions. But on press day, this was something that I noticed why this jump was so difficult. First and foremost, it's because of the low lips. This is a very low lip to try to get over it. And here, if we watch, you can see the impact of these guys, how much it slows them down. If they case it, takes all the forward momentum out, and they're not able to go accelerate forward. And in order for these guys to get the correct amount of lift to jump, they had to do things perfectly. They had to have downside this triple perfectly, and then they had to sit down and seed bounce as hard as they could to get that pop. But because it's not that long of a lip, it's going to kick you. It's going to kick you almost into that endo where the front end is going to go down. So these guys have to adjust by standing straight up. A very, very difficult section here. We'll watch that again from trackside. And watch how hard they're having to, I think this is Mitchell Oldenburg that I saw was the first guy of the MCR 250s to jump it. And it's a big G out. And you just have to be perfect. And unfortunately, Nate was not. And it was because he cased that triple and he still sat down and went for it. And it just wasn't enough on that Star Yamaha to get him clear over it without casing it. Because watch, as these guys case this jump, here's Joe, just slows that forward momentum, just bounces them enough to where they don't have just the sheer speed to be able to clear it. Up next, I want to talk about Jett Lawrence and highlight some of his mistakes. This first one was really caused by Cooper Webb by just taking the line away from him because he had the inside and he pushes Jett off the track. And a lot of people have been saying, well, how come Jett didn't get fined and docked when he went off the track just like Anderson? The difference is Jett did not get an advantage. He lost positions where Anderson literally was faster in the water truck lane on the side of the whoops rather than going through the whoops. Here, Jett loses at least 2 positions because he ends up behind Sexton. It looks like he loses actually 4 positions, including Cooper that passed him. The other thing that was noticeable is Jett casing the triple before the whoops. And how did he do it and why? Because why would a professional case relatively the easiest jump on the track that these guys jump literally lap 2 on press day because you're not allowed to jump anything lap 1? Well, the reason being is the exit of the corner is incredibly slippery, and Jett tries to cut down and get away from the blue groove hard packed, and he still scrubs the triple. If he didn't scrub the triple, he wouldn't have cased it, but he's trying to stay as low as possible, and therefore is just pushing the envelope by trying to use up less track by cutting down and actually finding traction so he can accelerate, and also scrubbing to stay lower than his competitors. And it's really what enabled him to be able to catch a lot of these guys, because this track was very difficult. The whoops were really the one place where riders could make passes on, because the rest of the track was fairly one line because of the hips in the lane. That Honda just soaks up that case perfectly. I'm sure his ankles and his wrists are going to hurt after that. Just glad he ended up being able to ride out of it, because you see a lot of the times when guys case triples, they end up endoing hard. The other thing that you should know is, I talked about it with Thrasher, is that these guys case with their front wheel and then the back wheel. Why is that? Well, I told you before, it's so that you don't really endo incredibly hard. So I know the instinct is to lift the front wheel up and case with the ass end, but realistically you want to case with both wheels relatively at the same time. Jett ended up changing his line by not trying to cut down low and going wide just to get that extra couple feet to get up and over the triple. Did you see what happened? This track was very hard pack, very slippery. It's why AP went down, why Jett almost went down just here, is it's pushing the front end. These Supercross bikes are so stiff. If they were set up a little bit for a moto, they'd be able to adapt to this hard packed track and be able to not have that front end slip on them as much. But watch Jett. He's coming in hot, and he's trying to get this rut right here, and he's doing a beautiful job of weighting the outside peg, standing up. But that front end pushes, and luckily it catches the rut, and it saves him. If that wasn't there, Jett would have been low siding and going down. But his body position is also saving him, because he is in the correct position to where when that bike slides, he can just move his hips to get that bike to get right back underneath him. Here, we'll watch it again in real time. Could have been a big, big mistake for Jett that could have cost him the points lead if he would have crashed there. And truthfully, about the whole Jett thing off the track and not getting fined or penalized, I agree with that. But here, I almost think that Jordan Smith should have been fined or given a written warning or something for jumping on a red light where you're not supposed to jump. The rule states that you are supposed to roll when you have a red cross or red flashing lights. It is a hazard situation, and passing is prohibited. Also, there's absolutely no doubling, tripling, step on, step off, etc. Did he break the rules? Yes, he did break the rules. However, if I was the team manager over there at Star, I would be going, hey, this is hard to see in such a fast section, and this hip, as far as on the track design, riders never use the entire track. They funneled into one line. You have a option here to step on, and on the outside, there's no option here, but no rider took it. It was always just this line. Perhaps Smith could have taken a different line if there was another jump here, but there wasn't, but that's just by the track design. However, he almost killed Levi Kitchen and himself. Almost took them both out of the championship hunt right there. The benefit of the doubt is he absolutely didn't see it. He was just in sheer blown race mode. You could argue both ways. I want to know what you guys think in the comments below, because, woo, that is a sketchy situation right there. And I'm glad both of them are okay. I'm sure Smith is a little bruised after this whole thing. And you know, when he was in the air, he was jumping, and as soon as he jumped, he probably goes, uh-oh, this isn't good, and boom. Maybe this is considered a yellow light, and therefore whatever I said doesn't apply, because if you have a flashing yellow, passing is allowed, and you're just supposed to use caution. Yellow, red, it looks orange, so is that yellow, red? I don't know. Perhaps I'm colorblind, and it may, in fact, be more yellow, but it was enough to confuse both of the riders, where, in that fact, Kitchen put himself in a hazard position because he thought it was yellow, and Smith knew it was yellow, and therefore, who's to blame? I don't know, just another racing incident. On Aaron Plessinger's crash, I am 100% agreeing with Carmichael. The blue groove line took him down. However, I'll explain it a little bit more, as again, the suspension is incredibly stiff, therefore that front end can't move. And second, I believe Aaron is trying to cut down into a lower line to cut out of the ruts. So you can see as he's coming in there, he's hard on the brakes and he's trying to push the motorcycle to a lower line, and it slides out from under him. And yes, I am literally tired of talking about the starts and all the red flags and all the crashes, but we're seeing way too many pinches here where riders are getting their front wheels taken out coming into here. And I sincerely believe, yes, I do have a cognitive bias towards why there is no separation in the starts. And I believe it's a multiple of factors when it comes to the metal gates and the hole shot devices and these ECUs. It's taking the game out of the game. And I did ask the riders at Glendale, at least the podium finishers. This is actually a question for the panel, but if only one of you can answer, Ken, I'd prefer you to answer. With the metal grates and the ECUs and the hole shot devices, it seems like there's less separation going into the first turn, which makes it harder for you guys to get a consistent good start, and it may contribute to some of the crashes possibly. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts?
Maybe. I mean, I still, when I watch a start, I'm still way off the back sometimes, so yes and no. That's a tough one. I kind of like sticking with the grates just because there's less kick in and it's a little bit more of an even playing field. Yes, correct, but I haven't honestly, because it is what it is. We're racing on it, so I haven't even really thought that deeply about it, honestly.
I will say Vince Freeze was good on dirt starts, and he's still good on great starts, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm easy with whatever, to be honest.
He told me that they like the gates. So, believe them. However, from a safety standpoint, I am still not convinced that there isn't a better way of going about the starts to create a little bit more separation between the riders so we don't have this happen as often as it's happening. The 450 main event, I want to highlight Freeze. Yes, I want to highlight Freeze because he always gets a good start. He's right there with Michael Essie on always getting good starts. But here, he could have held his line a little bit more, but he just goes out of his way to push Cooper to take that line. I just thought that was interesting. Yeah, is it aggressive? Yes. Is it dirty? No. It's something that I wouldn't expect anything less from Freeze. Love him or hate him, it's his riding style. He's made it work, and it honestly has gotten him a lot of attention, and I believe that there's no such thing as bad press. If you've made it this far, make sure you wheel tap that subscribe button and notification icon. I am trying to get to 50,000 by the end of February, and I can't do it without your guys' help. So if this is helpful, do that for me. Thank you so much. In closing, they've changed the rules to where the whoops are now only 9 are allowed to be built, which you could argue, are they taking Supercross out of Supercross, or are they making it safer for the riders? But here, you've got Short on his beta missing one of the whoops, and he goes straight into an endo, because the narrative of this video, when you case a jump only with your back wheel, well, you're going to endo. And unfortunately, he tattoos himself into the 180-degree corner and actually puts a lot of pressure on his neck. Oh, that was a hard hit. We'll watch it again in real time. Until next time, I want all you guys to keep it WFO and stay tuned for tomorrow's video. Bra-da-da-da-da-oh.